This podcast has been brought to you by Stormtrooper Vision. If you feel you've become focused on one target for too long and want a wider perspective of the world, give us a call and you'll never have that problem again. It is, may I add, the perfect product for those of you in the Deep South.
Hello and welcome to Monkey Broadcast, a monthly review and discussion show with me, the Jonin Monkey.
And me, Sven the Crusader, on time for once.
Yeah, time differences can be a bugger sometimes, although I'm just personally glad I have the energy as, let's just say, it's been a very, very active couple of days for me.
Yeah, that's happened.
Here's a smart idea I had. You've been travelling around for several days, why not go bouldering for the first time ever?
Well, at least it sounds fun.
Yeah, in all fairness, it was very, very fun, but let's just say I reached the end of my stamina meter very quickly.
Oh dear. Yeah, to be fair, I would probably reach the end of mine after about minute, I don't know, 4 or 5. Psst, that's my self-deprecation because I'm fat. Okay, moving on.
It's funny because that's part of the reason why I started bouldering in the first place. Anyway!
Yes, at least you had the gumption to go and start doing it. But enough about our personal shortcomings. Let's move on to the actual podcast, shall we?
Yep, we've got a lot of fun stuff ahead, so let's get started with our traditional first section,
Q&A!
This is the section where we answer questions from the audience. If you'd like us to answer your questions, either leave them in the comments or send them to me via Twitter with the hashtag MBQuestion.
So our first question comes from MVL.
As I know, you are getting the Nintendo Switch. Will you have any free time at all, as we'll be mandatorily attending all those millennial parties and social gatherings? Will partying all night on those mini games tire you out? On top of work, freelance, YouTube, D&D, and other commitments, that is assuming the non-replaceable 3-hour, at best, better life of the console is up to it.
I should stress for anyone who was about to get married, yes, he's joking.
This is just sort of this guy's sense of humor. We're familiar with him, let's say.
Yeah, after knowing him in real life and working with him on many projects, I'm used to this kind of humor. But yeah, this is the best time to answer this question because at the time of recording, the Nintendo Switch is just days away from release. And let's be honest, those advertising campaigns were a bit more focused on the whole social gathering side of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's like middle-aged console developers and just middle-aged people in general have never actually stepped out and taken a good look at what young people do.
Yeah, like, I am sure people will take their Nintendo Switch to a random social function and just start playing minigames.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's what we do.
Yeah, but to get around to your question, MVL, don't worry, there is absolutely no danger of that happening anytime soon because, well, if I fail to get every single member of my family playing sports games with the Wii, I am 90% sure that I will not be able to suddenly muster up the social life that requires me to go into a busy city centre and play Splatoon.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I haven't even played Pokemon Go. The closest I've come is encountering a group of aspiring gym leaders working at the library.
Oh dear. Although, the only thing I will say to capstone this question is, at least I have space for a Nintendo Switch. Anyway!
Oh, that's rude, man. Not cool. All I'll say to capstone this question is, Fire Emblem. Give me Fire Emblem.
Not until next year, I'm afraid.
Sigh.
Well, there is Fire Emblem Warriors, but that's also coming out on the 3DS, which is kind of a shooting yourselves in the foot on that front. But anyway, moving on. Our next, more traditional question comes from Infinity Zero, and he asks,
How would you make the dreaded concept of the escort mission more tolerable for players?
Oh, that's a good question. Because I hate escort missions. I've hated them since the days of Spyro, and I hate them nowadays in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah. One thing I could say off the top of my head is maybe, well, A, make it a bit more forgiving so you're not being surrounded by enemies every 5 minutes, and B, make the AI of the escortee smart enough to not run straight into the first sign of danger.
Yeah, in other words, to paraphrase Yahtzee on the game Dead Rising 2, maybe invest in giving the escort AI intellect above the level of a bucket of pie.
Yeah, that would definitely help. I think also one I could definitely raise after playing a bit of Dragon Ball Xenoverse is also make it so that you can take the enemies down quickly, or at least give you the option to heal the escorts. Because that game, in one of the Captain Ginyu missions, I should mention for those of you who are wondering which mission I'm talking about, there was a mission where you had to help Krillin and Gohan take out Frieza's henchmen. Now, these are not the heavy hitters like Zarbon or Doria. These were just general mooks. Unfortunately, 6 of them would attack at a time. Gohan and Krillin's AI was so dumb that they didn't use any healing items or guard most of the time. And it took forever to take them out. Like, if you hadn't been grinding, it took like 2 to 3 minutes to take down just one troop. But of course, by that time, Sod's Law, one of them has gotten around to Gohan and Krillin and has just started beating them up. And if even one of them gets KO'd, the mission's over.
Wow. Since I really don't have anything that can top that, I'll just throw in similar 2 cents. Maybe make it so that leaving a certain 5-foot radius doesn't fail you the mission within 5 seconds. Looking at you, Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh god, yeah, that just sounds like a complete pain, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, it sucks. Also, speaking of Final Fantasy XIV, maybe include a game mechanic that allows you to slap your escort upside the head whenever they start making smart-ass remarks.
Oh god, yeah, I think that is also a big part of it, if the escort themselves has an irritating voice.
Yeah, I seem to recall a lot of jokes about Ashley in Resident Evil 3 or 4.
Yeah, I remember similar things about Ruto in Ocarina of Time. It wasn't enough that you had to carry her everywhere, you had to put up with her, let's just say, very haughty remarks all the time.
Yeah, maybe cut back on that.
I think, yeah, the upshot of what we're saying is make it reasonable in terms of difficulty mechanics, give us an option to actually save them with their helms going down, and for God's sake, don't make the escortee an asshole.
Yeah, that's about the sum of it. Our next question comes from McDuck.
How do you feel about reviving dead actors in movies with the magic of CGI?
Oh. Now, see, this hurts a little because this was just recently an issue for reasons that I wish were not the case.
In fairness, it wasn't just Carrie Fisher, it was also the fact that Peter Cushing was also in there in the role of Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, so we got a double hit of that, and it's just especially fresh in the minds of everyone because 2016 just could not leave us alone in the last month. So yeah, this has sort of become a relevant thing over the last few months.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, the film Rogue One, a Star Wars story, it was a film that was basically set just before Episode 4, which was in the 70s. The problem was it required 2 characters that, well, are based on actors that at the time of filming were either considerably older than they were back in 1970, or dead.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time that's been done with Peter Cushing either, because I'm pretty sure Revenge of the Sith included a cameo on his part, and they had to do the same thing there.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was the case with Revenge of the Sith, but I will say, in terms of how we feel about reviving dead actors of CGI, One thing I will say in the case of Rogue One specifically is that I remember seeing one review that said they felt like it was pointless because, well, people were able to accept that Alec Guinness was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Why would people not be able to do the same here with Grand Moff Tarkin? I can kind of see why they did it because, well, it's one thing to say that this actor is a younger version of the character. Like, people change enough over time as they grow up for it to make sense, and pretty much everyone in the audience already knows, okay, yeah, young actor, being a younger version, we've got it. It's a little difficult to do when the movie is set, at best, a few months before the actual events. I seriously doubt, like, say, Princess Leia, when carrying the plans that could destroy the Empire's greatest weapon, that if they don't do something about it, could bring the entire galaxy into ruin, and decide, you know what, I think I need a face job. This just doesn't seem quite right.
That's possibly the best way of putting that anyone ever could have managed. And, yeah, as far as Rogue One goes, it made perfect sense because as of filming, 2016 had yet to strike. It was just that they needed footage of a younger Leia. The issue is, and this is what was distracting me all through watching those particular scenes in that movie, CGI, as we well know from Revenge of the Sith, and especially Attack of the Clones, has an unfortunate tendency to cross over into the uncanny valley real hard.
Yeah, that is basically the problem. I mean, I wasn't paying too much attention in Tarkin scenes, admittedly, so I was kind of okay with it, and Leia, I will freely admit it, threw me for a loop, but I guess, I don't know if it's Carrie Fisher's last movie. I have heard that she was able to complete her scenes for The Last Jedi before she passed away, so this might not be the last film she's in, but I think it's still nice that at that time we had the youthful image of the strong, confident Leia, a time to cap it off, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty sure that Episode 8 is gonna be the last hurrah, because fortunately for the cast and crew, like you said, she actually did manage to finish all of her principal scenes in that film before disaster struck, basically. But at the same time, if this did end up being that last hurrah, so to speak, it's nice to have a memento. Even if the memento looked a little bit surreal.
Yeah, I will admit that took me out the film for a brief second. If only just because I was thinking, wait, is that purely CGI? Is it somewhat of a mascot? But yeah, in terms of Rogue One specifically, I'm okay with it. In principle, I don't know if it is something to go ahead for, because like I said, it did take me out for a brief moment when I saw it done to Leia, and I think it would have been a bit more distracting if I, again, had been paying a bit more attention in Grand Moff Tarkin scenes. And in fact, one thing in Tarkin in particular, like Leia, okay, you wanted to get the point that it was transferred over to her, that's fine. But in all fairness, you could have very easily just had it so that someone would say, oh, Tarkin is now taking control. Like, someone could have been sending the message. It didn't have to be Tarkin involved personally in that scene.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one thing to use stock footage of quite possibly the most iconic heroine in all of film. It's another entirely to go ahead and use stock footage for a one-off film villain that, honestly, no respect to Peter Cushing, you probably could have gotten away with recasting. Like I said, I don't mean any disrespect to the brilliant actor who played him in the first place. I'm pretty sure that with Nina Gold involved, Nina Gold being the former casting director of Game of Thrones, I'm pretty sure you could have pulled off a recast.
Indeed, yeah. I think I'm not particularly fond of the principle, especially with, well, let's be honest, the film industry is getting more and more reliant on CGI every day. Whilst I do appreciate that, yeah, it does take quite a lot of effort to make, and it does make certain scenes look good, I think we need to draw the line at resurrecting dead people.
I mean, we're perilously close to that scientifically anyway.
Yeah, so Rogue One gets a pass, but generally I'm not in favour of it because the whole risk with the uncanny valley really doesn't justify it, honestly.
Director Gareth Edwards cast Ray's dead. It's super effective. Fuck you, 2016.
Our next question comes from Roy Havenstone, and he asks,
Are you guys excited for Mass Effect Andromeda?
Yeah!
Well, that answers that question. Moving swiftly on. Okay, in all seriousness, the reason Roy brought this up, technically it was an informal question that he brought up in a Skype chat, but the main reason why he raised it is that he noted that neither of us have been talking about it, and in fairness, that's purely down to me. The reason why I haven't brought up Mass Effect is that it's been on my to-do list for the longest time. I played Mass Effect 1 and enjoyed it, but I swapped computers, so I'm not 100% sure where the save file of Mass Effect 1 is, and also I find it a bit difficult to motivate myself to play PC games over console games. There's no logical reason behind it before anyone tries to question me. It's just like this weird psychological thing I have. So I've been trying to get a console version. The only problem is the only physical copy is on an Xbox, so it's either having to track down a copy of Mass Effect Trilogy or use the PlayStation Network, and every time I've even thought about doing either of those things, something else has come up, so...
Yeah. It's either that or get an Xbox 360, and I would wish that fate on nobody.
Yeah, so that's basically been why I've not talked about the Mass Effect series. It's not out of any kind of snub or anything like that, because, again, I did enjoy the first one. It's just that I actually want to play and complete the other two before I develop any kind of opinion on it.
Yeah, and the thing is, for me, I would have talked about it a lot, and trust me, in private chat, I've talked about it a shitload. But the format of this show really doesn't give me many opportunities to do that unless someone asks about it. So that's been the reason behind my silence on that front. If anyone had asked me, though, they would have gotten an earload.
You know what? Go ahead. Have 5 or 10 minutes to explain why you're excited for Mass Effect Andromeda.
Well, I mean, for starters, it's the basic principle. I am a fanboy of Mass Effect. Plain and simple, also a fanboy of BioWare. My love for them only increased tenfold whenever I played Inquisition. And if Andromeda is anything remotely close to Inquisition in terms of quality, I will be a happy camper. Also, I'm already attracted to the idea of a Solarian pilot. That's gonna be really amusing, and part of me, for scientific purposes, hopes he's a romance option.
Purely for scientific purposes.
Yeah, purely professional. It's not just the fact that Mass Effect to me is part awesome sci-fi epic and part screwing all the aliens in the galaxy.
In other words, the life of James T. Kirk. Anyway.
Pretty much. Also, whoever on the development team decided to accidentally play to all of my interests in the reveal trailer, I have to give that person credit, because it worked. By which, Jonin, just for context, what I'm talking about is the fact that they use Johnny Cash's Ghost Riders in the Sky as the reveal theme, and there is no better way to get me hyped up for a space western than a Johnny Cash song.
Yeah, also I should mention, I know we mentioned it last month, but in case you didn't listen to that one, Sven's also a fan of Trigun, so Space Western is...
Yeah, pretty much. I'm also a fan of Firefly, of Cowboy Bebop, the list goes on and on. So, in other words, Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his hype level? Etc., etc.
Insert meme here.
Hint, hint, it's not 8,000. But yeah, basically expect to hear more of this game from me as the months go on.
Indeed. Who knows? Maybe we'll even get a review out of it at some point.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to play it on my computer without my computer falling over and dying of a heart attack.
Actually, as far as I'm aware, it's starting a new continuity rather than being based around Commander Shepard. Is that right?
Yeah, for reasons I won't spoil for you. It takes place a significant stretch of time into the future, let's say.
Yeah, because I knew that Mass Effect 3, well, aside from having an ending that everyone was up in arms about for some reason.
Well, to be fair, the original ending was not great, but they did fix it.
Yeah, I do know that Mass Effect 3 was meant to be the end of Commander Shepard's storyline.
Yeah, so they're moving on from that. Honestly, I'm especially interested in seeing how they handle what so far has seemed like an almost Inquisition-style dialogue wheel with the new main character, Ryder, considering the mimetic popularity of Commander Shepard.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if Ryder can fit Shepard's big shoes.
And as far as sci-fi goes, as far as sci-fi video gaming goes, they're just about the biggest there are this side of Chris Redfield.
Yeah, but yeah, the reason why I bring that up is, as well as getting a Nintendo Switch, I'm actually planning on getting a PlayStation 4 in the next couple of months, so if Andromeda comes out for that, it might also be a chance for me to get involved in the action as well.
Hey, Jonin, if you get a PS4, do me a huge favor and play Fallout 4 so I can live through you vicariously.
I might do that, but first I have to get through Tales of Berseria. That's the number one thing that...
Of course it is. I don't blame you.
Yeah, the only reason I haven't picked it up already is because I needed to save my money for Nintendo Switch and some time for Breath of the Wild. That's literally it.
Yeah, that's reasonable. And that laser focus will probably transfer over to me as soon as I get the equipment and game required to play Mass Effect Andromeda. So there's the answer to that question. Basically, hallelujah chord!
Hooray! What does the Scouter say about its hype level? Scouter explodes.
Yep, pretty much. or to quote that one really, really stupid article about Golden Vegeta, my hype level is over 8 million! I don't remember the exact figure, but that's close enough.
Yeah, I think it's Golden Freezer 10 billion or something like that, but yeah, that was so fucking stupid. I love the Dragon Ball as a whole are just ridiculously stupid. That was way off tangent for a joke, so let's move on.
Yeah, next question.
Okay, what I have next is, quite frankly, astonishing. It is the first partially serious question from Toon Junkie we've ever had on this show.
Oh god, it's 2017, the world really is ending.
His question is,
What do you think is Superman's most ridiculous power? My vote goes for the time he used super friction to do some welding. A 100% true event. Look it up if you don't believe me.
The 2 times, in fact, he lifted infinity and pushed eternity. Excuse me, what?
Yeah, I'd actually forgot about that, but yeah, that is a ridiculous feat of strength right there.
He lifted everything. And I do mean everything. He lifted everything there is, was, and will be until the end of time. I'm calling bull.
Yeah, in my case, I was actually thinking of something entirely different. I mean, it doesn't quite top yours, but it comes close. There was a animated version of All-Star Superman, which, in fairness, I do like the story. I mean, if nothing else, that and the comic American Alien is a good reference point for anyone wondering why anyone likes Superman as a character. But All-Star Superman does have moments which make you think, oh, okay, that's just getting ridiculous. Okay, the basic premise of All-Star Superman is that Superman realizes that he's going to die, so it's his last few days spent trying to figure out what to do. And so he writes a will. Now, a normal person would just use, say, a computer or a pen. Not Superman, no. No, Superman gets a gigantic slab and starts using his heat vision to write. Now, heat vision, I'm willing to accept on BS comic book stars. Like, okay, he stores heat energy and shoots it out of his eyes. Whatever, it's superheroes. They can beat up physics and give him a wedgie. That's fine, as long as it's entertaining. But this suspension of disbelief starts to crack when he can apparently have that much control that he can write with his eyes. I mean...
Okay, so in the last days of Superman's life, we discover that for some reason he becomes Hammurabi. Either that or Moses.
Yeah, what?
And leaves his last will and testament upon the world on a stone slab. That is the perfect topper to a ridiculous life.
Oh, and that's actually pretty tame considering some of the other things he does.
Eternity. Infinity.
Yep. Well, not even just in his entire run. I'm talking about in that movie. Because...
Oh, God!
one of the things he does is go on a date with Lois Lane, which seems perfectly fine. But no, what he does is he gives her a serum that gives her his powers for one day, and
why would you do that? Who wants two Supermans?
And they go on an adventure together for a single day, and it ends with them flying to the moon and having a make-out session there, which...
Being on the moon, the Doctor would be proud.
If nothing else, I feel for the person who then tries to chat up Lois Lane afterwards.
No one will ever top that. She has been immortal and been done on the moon. I cannot believe those words just left my mouth, but Superman makes anything possible.
Yeah.
As we just discussed, eternity and infinity.
Indeed, yes.
Our last question is sort of a return to form, so maybe the sweet meteor of death isn't coming quite yet. From Toon Junkie.
Who drank my last can of Iron Brew? I know I left it over at your house last time, but I told you I was coming back to get it in 2 days.
Jonin, I think you got some splaining to do.
Okay, first off, I don't know why you're accusing me. Do I look like the kind of guy who drinks Iron Brew? Actually, that's a weird question to ask in a podcast, but okay, do I sound like the kind of guy who drinks Iron Brew? Second, you may have mentioned something about a can of Iron Brew, but I wasn't really paying attention because I was still trying to process the question in my mind of how the f*** did you get into my house?
Wait, that's a good question. Toon Junkie, I think you got some splaining to do.
I thought I'd locked it. I thought I had prepared teleportation dampening things. How the fuck did you get inside?
Deadpool powers, that's how. Or to quote Helsing Ultimate, you, that's how.
Oh god, of course Toon Junkie would have Deadpool 4-4 breaking powers. Of course he would.
Yep, it makes perfect sense to me. I know what to expect at this point in my life.
But yeah, I apologize. I guess that's what you get for leaving cans of Iron Brew in someone's house.
And honestly, if there was anyone I could see stealing someone's... If there's anyone I could see stealing someone's drink because they can, it's Richard. He can. That was the worst pun I've ever made in my entire life.
No one likes your puns, Sven.
Aww.
Wait, how the f*** did Richard just get out there? Anyway!
Because Toon Junkie reasons, I presume.
Oh, god damn it, not you two. Yeah!
This is our life, folks. Toon Junkie and the Misfits of the universe. That sounds like the greatest Saturday morning cartoon ever.
Yeah, oh god. Anyway, we should probably move on to the next section. By the way, Toon Junkie, keep it in the fridge next time. As I was saying...
Okay, Richard, I have to put my foot down. You say no one likes your puns, but no one likes you.
Of course not, I'm a villain.
I guess that's self-explanatory in that case.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm now putting my foot down and ending this madness once and for all by getting to the next section, which is...
Reviews!
This is the section where one of us reviews something we've read, watched, or played this month. Sven, you don't have anything to review this month, right?
Nope, I live a happening life, folks.
Yeah, there has been a lot of stuff going on in my life at the moment as well, but I did play 2 games which were potential review material. The first was Fire Emblem Heroes, but eventually I kind of realised that would essentially be me saying, I do like the base gameplay, and the microtransactions aren't as bad as I thought it would be, but dear God, can I have some better luck on the lottery?
I think a lot of people have been saying that.
I mean, my only 5-star unit has been Camilla. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate Camilla, but I was really hoping for a Lynn or Lucina.
Yeah, that would be me.
I just want 1 Hector. I don't even care if he's like 2 stars or something. That'd be better than the 3 Gunters.
You keep getting the worst Jagan in Fire Emblem history. I feel so sorry for you.
It's even that, or I was trying to get another Pegasus Knight, or at least an Ephraim, because that one was being added. I had 3 blue ones, so I thought I'd be okay. I got 2 Oberos and a Jagan. I'm not so
Why, though? I feel so sorry for you.
Yeah, I've not had the best luck. But anyway, that's not the Fire Emblem thing I decided to review. It's kind of tangentially related because, well, this was a game that was initially announced as Fire Emblem Cross Shimigami Tensei. But, as with many things on the Wii U, it turns out to have been an announcement made far too early, because both development teams were really keen and eager to make the crossover, but then they suddenly realized, wait, there is no way in hell we can make this work.
Yeah, that was sort of a borderline impossible venture from the start.
Yeah, basically. I mean, if nothing else, while Shimigami Tensei does have strategy elements, it's kind of hard to connect to a series which usually has 30-something characters in its roster, and that's just on the hero side of things.
In fact, I'm pretty sure at one point I counted 74 characters in Radiant Dawn.
Yeah, so, because of that, it was then reworked into a completely original standalone game that basically borrowed mechanics and other elements from both series, but I'll get into that in a moment. The game in question became Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE. Not hashtag FE, as I'm sure many people will assume that's the case. The transition of time. But yeah, whilst it is a completely original story, it still shares some elements of both series. The best way I can describe it is that the Shimigami Tensei series, whilst the context changes depending on the spin-offs like the Devil Survivor series or the Persona series, basically it involves characters fighting with these summons that are either demons based on European mythology or avatars of their own psychoses based on Japanese mythology. In this case, the summons are loosely based on Fire Emblem characters, so that's really where the connection is. So, rather than summoning, say, Gilgamesh, you're summoning Crom.
Not a bad replacement, to be fair.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it works around it, and the Shimigami Tensei battle system is usually based on trying to exploit the weaknesses of each individual creature and try to make sure that they can't exploit your weaknesses, which is still prevalent here. It's just that they've also added the weapon triangle into the mix.
Ha! Go on, because I'm desperate to hear how that worked.
Well, basically, it's more or less the same thing. It's that there's usually enemies can be weak to fire but resistant to ice and that kind of thing. It's just on top of that, depending on who their original summon was, each character gets a series of weapons attacks. Like, one of the main characters, Tsubasa, has the summon of Keita, the Pegasus Knight from the first Fire Emblem game, so as well as wind and healing spells, she also gains lance attacks, and there are certain enemies, particularly ones that wield swords, that are weak to lances, so she can exploit their weaknesses that way.
Right. That actually makes some modicum of sense.
Yeah, and it's also a very helpful element because there are some enemies that are inspired by Fire Emblem classes. So there are these black-scaled wyverns who are basically like half-dragon and humanoid things. But you can, tell that they're wyvern riders. So if you have, say, the wyvern slayer that they're equipped, you know, okay, that's one weakness I can use. And if they're wielding a lance, you can go, okay, I should use the axe on this enemy. And the reason that's useful is because when you first encounter the enemy, you don't know the weaknesses, so normally it's a case of trial and error. So that's actually a really useful hint to go, okay, I vaguely know what direction I need to go with this case.
Huh.
But yeah, I should probably explain the main premise of the game. This is going to sound a little bit nuts, but stay with me. The game initially starts with 3 protagonists who are also high school students that are best friends. The main protagonist, Itsuki, the female lead, Tsubasa, and their best friend, Toma. Now, they're initially supposed to meet up after school, but Toma had to cancel, and Tsubasa says, yeah, sorry, I'm busy too. But whilst walking around, Itsuki notices that the observatory that they're all staying in is being used as a TV set for a goofy little reality TV show that will offer someone the contract to become a pop star idol. And Tsubasa's entering. So, intrigued, he goes to have a look, but as it so happens, just before the show can actually get underway, it's attacked by these weird ghostly figures known as Mirages, who, as you do, swoop in, start draining the life energy out of the audience, and drag the singers into another dimension.
As you do.
Itsuki, suddenly having this weird immunity to the Mirages, and wanting to rescue his childhood friend, dives into said dimension, and after a series of slightly confusing events, the two of them end up freeing the evil that was controlling 2 of the Mirages and becoming partners of them. Itsuki gains Chrom, Tsubasa gets Kada. And becoming a partner of a Mirage, or Mirage Master as the game calls them, basically allows you, in the manner of Kamen Rider / Power Rangers, basically gain an outfit that vaguely resembles them and turns said Mirages into talking weapons.
Huh. Again, as you do.
Yeah, I should mention right now, if you're one of those people who thinks that Fire Emblem's been getting too anime-ish recently, oh, this game shows you that it has not gone far enough.
Oh, I can just imagine the purists' heads exploding.
Yeah, basically, because as they're fighting a boss with it, Toma arrives on the scene, revealing 2 things. One, he's a Mirage Master too, specifically the Red Cavalier Kane, which, by the way, Horse Rider somehow translates into Motorcycle Rider, which makes me raise an eyebrow, but is so ridiculously awesome I'm not going to question it that much. But he also reveals that he is actually part of an organisation which is been combating these Mirages, because as it turns out, the Mirages are trying to steal Performer from living beings, which is kind of the life essence of a person, but it's also based on a person's creative energy and inspiration. You may be thinking to yourself, well, that's very specific. Well, the reason is, this is going to sound absolutely insane. Not only is this organisation a group of Mirage Masters who dedicate themselves to combating these threats, they're also a pop idol / talent agency. So, their boss, Maiko, says, okay, you guys need a cover, so Tsubasa, you can now join as a pop idol, and I'll give you the contract right here and now, and Itsuki will find something to do with you later. So,
Yeah, just pass them off to someone else.
So, essentially, you have pop idols and actors in a talent agency working together to stop the apocalypse.
That is so stupid. It almost sounds like it could work.
Yeah, this is the thing. It definitely rides on that whole rule of cool thing that is so often happens in anime. Like, it is, again, for those who didn't catch it the first time, pop idols using Fire Emblem characters to fight evil ghosts from another dimension. And, they try to hand wave it by saying, oh yeah, people summoned spirits in ancient times using song and dance, but that is a massive stretch. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, so long as the story works, I guess.
Yeah, it kind of works. I mean, to be honest, I'm going to say something about this review now, is that I do like this game overall, but this review, it's gonna go back and forth between joyful explanation and irate ranting, and that's because kind of like my relationship with this game, I have a kind of, I mean, I don't know if this is the case with you, Sven, these days, but I kind of have a love-hate relationship with anime as a medium, because on the one hand, there is a lot I really like about it. In terms of aesthetics, I love the colourful design of it. I usually love the kinetic energy of the way it handles action. I like the fact that it is willing to take ridiculous premises and just run with it and treat it with pure seriousness. Like, just the entire existence of Yu-Gi-Oh! It makes children's trading card games seem like the most epic thing that could possibly happen in the universe.
Yeah, and honestly, I just love the over-the-top nature of it, and the fact that, well, honestly, when they're done right, the huge ensemble casts can actually work in a series' favor. The issue is, for every sort of the stranger, there are 5 bleaches.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the level of the equality, it's also the fact that, well, there are 2 aspects of dislike. I dislike the rather pandering nature of it, like, okay, there's obviously the female fan service, and yes, before anyone rambles, there is male fan service as well, but it's vastly outweighed by the majority of female sexualization, which is, it can be a bit frustrating and just eye-rolling at times. And I hate the way that so many archetypes get overused, and rather than questioning it, we're supposed to love it. Like, oh look, amazing, this is Tsundere number 583, she's best girl, right? She's my waifu. Like, oh god.
Yeah, honestly, we can blame plenty of things for otaku weeb culture, but let's not forget that anime itself has sort of promoted their growth.
Yeah, that's kind of a good way of putting it. It's kind of the reason why it also seems to be becoming a bigger niche by the day, because it's one thing trying to get people into a series like Cowboy Bebop, because that's general sci-fi, but trying to get them to watch something like Sword Art Online, or Monster Musume, or something like a Queen's Blade. It's just, these days a lot of anime is coming out that's actively confirms all of the negative stigma that people associate with anime.
Yeah, like, we have shows that are actively playing toward the worst of anime fans.
Yeah, and it's kind of the reason why I didn't pay this game that much attention when it came out, because, well, there were 2 aspects of it. The first was, okay, I'll be blunt, it was the focus on pop idols, because that is something else that in modern anime has been done to death. The fact that no matter what the series is, no matter what the context is, they will find some way to force a pop idol in it. Is because, oh, aren't they so adorable? It's kawaii. No, they're not. They're ordinary pop singers. I don't give a about pop singers in the West, so why the hell would I give a damn about your pop idol just because they're trying to act like an 8-year-old and then make it look somehow appealing in a creepy way? Also, it's cute! Not kawaii! Stop saying that!
Yeah, I honestly wish that the Western use of that word had died in 2007. Also, yeah, I would not want, for instance, a Western animation series about the life and times of Kesha.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, the game did something which I know a lot of people are going to get mad at me for because they see it as being pure, but it was mentioned that whilst the game's text was being translated, they were going to keep the Japanese dub because they claimed that it was to maintain Japanese culture, which, I'm sorry, no. I know some people will get mad at me because they claim that the Japanese voice acting is always going to be better than the English ones, and admittedly, it is Nintendo. They seem to have a 50-50 success rate because, using Fire Emblem as an example, we do have the amazing voice acting of Fates and Awakening, but we also have Radiant Dawn.
Yeah, and to a lesser extent Path of Radiance, but Radiant Dawn was in a class of its own. Not quite Shining Force Neo class, but close.
Yeah, so especially given that this game had singing, I can understand people's reservations about getting an English dub, but playing this game, I'm pretty much dead certain now that whilst I could very happily and sometimes prefer to watch animations, television programs, and movies with subtitles, I don't think I can play video games subbed. And part of the main reason is that, yeah, the text itself is translated, so you can read that and just ignore the voice acting. But when you get into the battles, they weren't able to get subtitles for the battle system, and, well, the characters themselves, they are shouting out a lot of unique sentences, and when you get to them in the menu screens, it's not just stock animations, they're very expressive and very clearly reacting to something that's going on. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of character in this battle system, but that's all lost because I cannot understand a goddamn word they're saying. So it just sounds like noise, and it's just very frustrating for that reason, because I'm getting the implication that there is a lot of personality here, but that's all fallen by the wayside. And I know not everyone's going to agree with me on this, but I will happily take an imperfect dub that I can at least understand and infer character from, as opposed to a Japanese dub that I can't understand, but I have the vague knowledge that it's possibly amazing acting. And the reason I say possibly is because, well, if emphasizing the right syllables and being energetic in your performance was all it took to be an actor, then frankly we wouldn't be making fun of William Shatner.
Yeah, and let me just briefly readdress the issue of concept. It occurred to me as you were describing the bizarre fascination with adorable pop idols in anime, why shonen series got to be so popular. It's because they were different from the start. Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece were like nothing else in anime at the time, and really like nothing else since. The issue was not their concept, the issue was the fact that the plots eventually got to be fueled by moon logic, which seems to be a running theme in a lot of anime, actually, regardless of concept, and I can sort of see the moon logic in this plot.
Yeah, I think also another thing with Shonen, just to go on a quick side note, is that, well, frankly, because they were written by mangaka who were frankly desperate to keep their jobs and livelihoods going, they went on way too long, because I think, honestly, even if Bleach had maintained a consistent level of quality for its 800 chapters, I'm not sure how I would sell it to people. I would happily recommend this series, just maybe clear some few months away before you start trying to watch the series at all.
Yeah, that's the other issue. But honestly, to me, the issue is the moon logic plot, and that's sort of what's been my biggest pet peeve and what's given me my love and hate relationship with the entire medium, because compared to Western animation and just average everyday film, regardless of country of origin, there is a huge propensity toward ridiculously stupid plots in anime.
Yeah, but those points aside, they weren't admittedly a reason I put this game off for so long. I just basically put it in the queue of my rental service, Boomerang Games, and just left it at that for a while and didn't even think about it. But that said, there are some great elements to it. One, I shall go over quickly just because I did briefly touch on it, is the combat system. It's all turn-based and it's involved around the strategy of exploiting the enemy weaknesses, but, well, two things. First off, the battles don't never go on for too long, which is always, especially when you're trying to make it through a dungeon and the encounters keep popping up. But also, there are many small subsystems which, when you get it right, are a lot of fun and really satisfying to pull off. One of these, which is new to this series, I believe, is called the session mechanic. Basically what happens is, if you have certain sub-skills equipped, which, like in the case of Fire Emblem, you learn as you level up, admittedly with different weapons equipped, but actually, now that I think about it, it's more like Final Fantasy IX in the sense that you have an item equipped and you learn a set of skills from that item until you've mastered it and then move on to the next.
Okay, moon logic aside, you have my attention.
If you have certain skills equipped, what will happen is, let's just say a scenario. Itsuki notices an axe wielder, and he performs a sword attack which activates a weakness exploit. Kane has sword fire equipped, so he, seeing the opportunity, automatically leaps in with a fire attack that doesn't use up any of his magic point meter. And upon seeing that, Tsubasa, because she has the fire wind spell, launches a wind spell so that basically the enemy is then attacked 3 times in a row and out of turn order.
Huh. That's handy.
Yeah, it's a really satisfying thing to pull off when you get it right, and that's basically how you go about A, deciding which party members are in your team, and B, taking down some of the more harder boss battles, especially since certain characters then get to a point where they can unlock a additional skill known as Open Audition, which means that even if they're technically on the bench, if they still have the skill, they can follow up with a session attack. So even though they're technically on the sidelines, if the skills still line up, Tsubasa can still fire a wind spell even though she's technically not in the battle at the moment.
I won't lie, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is really satisfying. And there are also super moves you can unlock which look cool when you pull them off, and also ad-lib skills which, first off, are kind of satisfying when you do unlock them because you have to do them through character side quests, and you do feel like you've earned them because it's related to said side quests. Like, one of the characters is the more experienced pop idol named Kiria, who is tied with Tajo of all people, but
Huh.
her side quests are based around the fact that, partially due to the way she's being sold, like, actual image in the pop idol world, and also because in her teenage years someone once told her that liking cute things was gross at her age, she has this thing where her true nature that likes cute things is clashing with this image that she's generated of being this cool, serious beauty. And her side quests are pretty compelling. There's one where she actually sings a song which expresses this feeling called the Labyrinth, and that earns the ad-lib skill Labyrinth, which acts a lot like the skills in Fire Emblem, which is they can trigger at random if you use certain attacks. And in her case, what happens in said ad-lib attack is, if you use an ice spell, on the spur of the moment, she will suddenly decide to sing the chorus of that song, The Labyrinth, and as she does so, an icy tornado engulfs every single enemy on the battlefield while she's singing all the while, and then, as this tornado is still going, she turns round, sings the last line of the song, and the tornado explodes in a shower of ice. It's one of those things where it is so stupid it goes right back around to being awesome.
I automatically approve.
It probably goes without saying that the vocal songs are also really great, which is actually kind of ironic because I can't remember the actual score of the game very much, but the vocal songs are definitely an awesome part.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I would certainly hope the game based around music would have an awesome soundtrack.
Indeed, yes. And I should also mention, because I mentioned the side quests, the story themselves is kind of standard fighting off an evil threat in the shadows kind of thing. Even if you're focusing the idol element, it's the usual fare of we're underdogs and we're gonna face many challenges, but if we believe in ourselves, then we'll make it through no matter what. You really can't help but like a lot of these characters because they all have their own individual goals. Like, Tsubasa wants to be an idol, and she's having to get over the individual bits, like her initial stage fright when being told that she has to do model shoots as well as singing, or trying to define exactly what her image is. And then you've got Toma, who wants to be an actor in the live-action superhero shows like Kamen Rider, but he has to start up with the bit parts, like becoming one of the generic monsters the hero has to fight, or having to play a flirtatious side character, and that involves a side quest where he and Itsuki are trying to chat up women because it's not something he knows how to do, so... When you're seeing characters with this much optimism, trying to learn the business and following their dreams for the most part, it's really hard to hate them in that sense. I mean, yeah, it's cheesy, but you definitely can get behind them. And there are also loads of little details I really like about the game, because as part of its story, the game features text messaging. This is actually something that's a really creative use of the gamepad, in that it's essentially your cell phone. What happens is, when you're wandering around the battlefield, you'll occasionally get text. They offer insight into the character, their reflection on events that have happened, but it's also a nice way of reminding you what you're supposed to be doing without interrupting the flow of the game the way certain characters in other games do. Fine! But yeah, it's a really nice multi-use tool that provides character, and in some cases prompts you for side quests. And whilst I'm not a fan of the move to keep all the Japanese voices, I do like the localization and the way they write certain elements. Like, they've been able to translate certain Western texting habits to certain characters. Like, Kiryu is a very serious, so most of the time she writes everything with correct punctuation, although there will be times when she'll send like a really goofy emoticon and then we'll just suddenly write, "Forget you saw that, I just mispressed something." And then you've got Tsubasa, who is frequently using the emoticons and also writes over-exaggerated responses. Like, there's one text message where she says, "Okay, I'm studying up. There's an English test and a history test tomorrow. I've crammed for both. There's also a maths test." Ah!
I relate.
Yeah. And then there's also Toma, who's a man of action, so he just writes the damn thing without any kind of punctuation or capitalization whatsoever. It's just nice little touches that feel completely in character, which, yeah, I do like that as a little bit of translation work. The other thing as well is that this is something you very rarely hear me talk about, but the menus themselves are really well designed. Like, they're bright and colourful and stand out, and what's actually really fun is that if you activate the game's pause menu, the actual list of options is in the middle, but the characters, they're all lined around it like it's some kind of album cover. The game has a lot of colour and personality to it, even in the small details like that, which is, again, why I can't bring myself to hate it, even when there are a lot of frustrating elements, so, yeah, might as well address those now.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, first off, whilst I say this is like Shin Megami Tensei, the main model it uses is the Persona series, and whilst admittedly my only experience of that is Persona 4, and a lot of the bugbears I did have with the gameplay of that title have, like, there's multiple difficulty levels, and when you approach a boss door, it does actually say, okay, this is the level we recommend you enter this at, so you can go ahead if you like, but just be aware that you are going to have a hard time, rather than just curb stomping you out of nowhere. But I still have to say, these dungeons. Them so much.
That bad, huh?
Well, this is the thing. I'm admittedly not a big fan of dungeons at the best of times. I know, shocking. But, these dungeons in particular, the design is not fun or tolerable in the slightest. These dungeons are designed around two things: getting you lost in mazes, and getting you trapped in enemy encounters. Because, yeah, it's not random encounters. You can technically avoid the mirages, but not only does the game place you on narrow pathways constantly, or have you dodging teleport tiles, which means you can't avoid them that much, the game is also prone to habits like you're walking along and it will spawn an enemy right in front of you before you can even dodge it, or, my personal favourite, summoning 3 enemies at once in all directions so you can't even dodge it without bumping into another enemy. And it's not like, oh, I don't know how to avoid this. The game expects you to do it. Like, I just thought, you know what, I probably want to raise these guys anyway, so I'll just fight every enemy I encounter along the way, even though I probably have better things to do in my time. And even after, like, an hour's worth of trying to explore this damn dungeon, being forced to fight every single enemy I could, even though I didn't want to, I was only just at the required level of the boss.
Wow. Wow, game.
Yeah, this is the main reason why I love the story of Persona 4, and when I watched a Let's Play of it, I concluded that I really freaking love the characters and writing. I despise the gameplay because I hated the fact that the dungeons were basically designed purely around you getting lost and forcing you to grind, neither of which is fun. I mean, yeah, there are puzzles in the game, but they're usually based on you finding either the remove trap button, which is obviously on the other side of the map because of course, or finding the continue plot button. That is literally all it is. And on top of that, the dungeons are designed for you to have to exit and then go back. Because whilst you can get healing items in plenty, MP points, which you kind of do need to pull off all of the sessions, aren't so easy to come by, and you have to go out and heal for all of those. And sometimes, even if you do manage to use them wisely and get through, there will be certain plot points that say, okay, right, you can't defeat the boss yet, you have to go back and get an item and find the continue plot button. Which of course means having to exit the dungeon and then come back.
Well, I give you credit for having the patience to work through that.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason for it is, again, because you can adjust the difficulty level, it also meant that the other thing that pissed me off about Persona 4, i.e. the ridiculous difficulty spike, was mitigated somewhat, so the battles weren't that hard to play through. It's just a case of, okay, let's get going. I want to just get through to the end of this, because I do actually care about what happens to this character, and I actually made it fairly far into the game. It was like until the mid-boss of Chapter 3 that I died, and it then did a move that kind of pissed me off, because I died and I thought, okay, this boss suddenly curb-stomped me, but I think I should be able to do it with some strategy. Keep in mind I was playing on easy mode at the time. It then suddenly flashed up, you have unlocked a new difficulty. Friendly. For those of you who don't want the challenge and just want to get on with the story. And I'm just thinking, okay, so not only is there an easy difficulty you deliberately hid from the player, but you're making unlocking it feel like an insult. Like, okay, you died on easy mode, there's no helping you, here's another difficulty.
Wow. Thanks, game.
Yeah, it's like, part of me thinks, okay, it's true, I'd care more about the story than actually playing the game, but at the same time, God, man.
Vicariously, I concur.
Indeed, yes. And unfortunately, the issues don't stop there, because whilst I do like the majority of the cast, the new characters they added to the party and some of the support characters, I don't hate them exactly, but I don't care for them all that much. Like, the person responsible for creating your weapons is Tiki, who has a vaguely interesting concept that she is a mirage that's trapped between worlds in a dimensional space called the Bloom Palace, and she is the one that makes her weapons. And amusingly, she is a member of the Idol Agency too. She's basically this universe's equivalent of Miku. They use the cover story of she's a computer-generated singer, kind of like gorillas in the West. Instead, her character is pandering to those who like the lolly complex. Like, the first thing she does when she meets Itsuki is, "Hello there, can I call you Big Brother?" No, we are not related. It's fucking creepy.
Well, at least he put a stop to that.
Oh, no, that's just what I wanted to say. The game just went, oh, no, you want to.
Oh, right. Consider me duly disappointed.
Of course you don't get a choice in this, Sven. It's a lolly, it's adorable, you will let her call you Big Brother, even if you don't want it to.
Yeah. Returning to those anime problems.
Yep. And then the characters of the party initially started off with a cool concept, but I want to like them, but there are things that keep me away from them. Like, Ellie was the first character to be introduced to your party after getting to know the four main characters I've mentioned earlier. Elle's concept is initially intriguing because, well, A, she's a struggling actor that's trying to get gigs, which, yeah, it's a really tough situation when that happens, and on top of that, she's half Japanese, half Scandinavian, and as she puts it, I want to try and get big in acting so I can get into Hollywood so that, well, people will make space for me and I can find a place I belong instead of standing out wherever I go. Which, yeah, you can really get behind it. Unfortunately, the Hollywood thing turns out to be a catchphrase, so that pretty much every other sentence is, that's how they do things in Hollywood. If you want to make it big in Hollywood, you've got to get yourself into shape, etc., etc., etc. Which, yeah, it gets old after a while. And so I was thinking, okay, well, yeah, that gimmick is getting really, really old really fast, and I've only known her for about 10 minutes, but who knows, she's a Mirage Master. I don't have an axe user yet, or a bow user, so this will be really interesting. Oh god, it's Virion.
Oh no! I'm a little stunned by the fact that they thought the best decision in this case would be to bring in the Frenchman.
Yeah, of all the archers, that's why. I mean, I know you're sticking in with the Awakening and Shadow Dragon cards, but come on, there have been other archers. I think I'm glad he takes Setsuma or Gordon over freaking Virion for crying out loud.
Wow. That's saying a lot coming from you.
Yeah. Then there was Momori, who is a innocent child. Don't want to be too harsh on her. And well, she actually has a very cool Mirage. It's the Axe Knight Druk. So, by stark contrast to her small petite frame, she is actually an armored knight, which, yeah, that's actually kind of funny in a contrast. And then you see her armor. And I'm pausing briefly to Google this.
Oh no.
Let's see.
Oh no.
It can only be... I'm sending Sven an image now, but it can only be described as what happens if you try to wear a FNAF character as armor.
What the What am I looking at? Is that a bunny?
I think that's what it's meant to be, but...
Also, what is that axe? Just, what am I looking at?
Yeah, it was... That was the most disappointing thing, because it was actually pretty touching first, because one of your mentor characters is a guy named Barry who gets possessed by an evil version of this knight who used to be his Mirage, I should point out. Oh, by the way, I should also mention it's part of a bad pun because he used to be a heavy metal guitarist. Get it? Axe. Ha ha ha.
Oh god, that hurts.
Yeah, but there was a generally touching moment where he says to Drac, "You've been loyal to me, but I'm not good enough anymore. It was Mamori and her performer that saved you, so I would like you to guard her for me." And they had that touching scene where the two of them combined, and my reaction was more or less like yours, Sven. Oh, that's actually sweet, and this is a touching concept. What the f*** is that? What?
Admittedly, it has led to the amazing mental image in my mind of the Black Knight in that armor, which after Fud Night is not a stretch.
God, that mental image.
You were not prepared.
What's even worse is that my mind is now compounding on it. I'm now imagining a cute J-pop version of Against the Black Knight, and it's just...
Quick, Jonin, we need to get Riley on this situation.
Oh, God.
Fan-dub in jokes, folks. Don't mind us.
Oh, God, yeah. But,
Just imagine, though, the Black Knight in that armor, like, you bought the sacred sword, did ya? Yeah, you did. Oh God, I feel like the world's worst human being now.
What's even worse is that I'm now thinking that was a missed opportunity. Anyway, anyway, another character I had issues with is another experienced idol that transfers from another company named Yashiro. He has the Mirage of Nevrare, and he has a lot of problems. The best way I can describe him is a character that really wishes he was the edgy anti-hero, but he is so over the top that he would make Sasuke and Shadow the Hedgehog go, God, what a poser. Like, this is a guy who has every reason to be working with these guys because he's a Mirage Master and everything, but he comes out with the most self-centered, patronizing comments that trying to play it off as extremely cool and challenging the heroes, but it makes him just look pathetic. Like, when the heroes ask, well, okay, what are you actually doing here? Why are you interested in talking to Tiki? He goes, I have no reason to explain anything to the incompetent.
Wow! Nice going there, dude. I can really take you seriously.
Yeah, and it gets even worse. When Kiria, who is also being the cool serious one, actually says to Yashiro, is there really no hope of you working for us? And then he just goes, go ahead. Continue to be weighed down by the sheep that surrounds you. And it's like,
oh Jesus! Oh Jesus Christ! He's every college libertarian I have ever known in my life.
Basically, yeah. I cannot take him seriously, and I know for a fact he's going to be the last party member because at the time of recording, I am currently on the starting chapter 4, but I really don't want him in the goddamn party. I really don't.
Oh my God, he's like one of the male protagonists in My Immortal.
I should note that after this recording, I played it a little further, and whilst I don't dislike Yashiro to the extent I did in this recording, he still comes off as kind of pathetic. His main reason for joining you boils down to, okay, I can't get any stronger on my own, so could you guys help? I'll take back everything I said. And we later find out through his side quest that he is someone who is so pretentiously dedicated to his acting that before joining the group, he needed a PA to remind him to actually eat something, and it's Mamori who has to point out the freaking obvious that, hey, sometimes eating is a part of acting. Whilst those characters do irritate me in some degree, the one I have the most problem with is Itsuki, the player character. How do I describe Itsuki? The podcast School of Movies has a running joke of Johnny Template. Basically, the generic, white, gruff, beefy action hero that you often see in Hollywood blockbusters and AAA games. Kind of unimaginable. I've got to rescue my family and rescue the president because I'm cool. That kind of thing, you know?
So basically, a Michael Bay protagonist.
Yeah, basically. But Itsuki represents an anime archetype that, in honor of him, I am now officially naming Itsuki Templator, because he is that generic anime hero, the teenager who is fairly attractive but still somehow plain looking, who has everyone admiring him despite the fact he hasn't done anything particularly special, and will often get things done not because of any talent he has or any defining characteristic, but because that's what's expected of the protagonist. You are seeing this constantly. With hindsight, it's the exact same template Kirito from Sword Art Online falls into, because at first I thought, oh, Kirito's coming off as a Gary Stu, but then I suddenly realised that no, he's written that way because the protagonist is meant to be special for whatever reason. If nothing else, it explains why women seem to fall in love with him simply because he's there. And actually, now that I think about it, Ichigo falls under that same trope. Like, he initially started off with his own character, but towards the end, it's literally this is only happening to him and people are only impressed with him because he's protagonist.
Huh. Yeah, that's sort of an issue.
Yeah, and it gets really frustrating. Like, just to give an example of an explanation of what I mean by this, the characters are mulling over the recent Mirage attacks, and Itsuki believes that they are in fact all coordinated by one person. And after doing some digging, everyone thinks, okay, the recent Mirage attacks, when they've possessed people, have happened when they all entered one TV studio, so maybe that studio is the connection. But their boss, Maiko, points out, well, hang on a minute, companies are swapping staff every single day, so I don't think we can just jump to conclusions on this. I can buy Maiko coming up with that because she is a producer. She runs a record label, so she knows full well that entertainment companies are often hiring out staff and people are having different contracts all the time. I don't buy Itsuki coming to the conclusion that there's one person behind it because we've given no clue in his background and there's never any given indication that he has any defining characteristic. Like, you would buy if someone like Soren from Path of Radiance reached out because his character has been established as someone with a keen insight. I would buy Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia doing that because, yeah, he's not book smart, but he's at least good at asking the questions no one else has thought of right then. Itsuki, he just did it because that's what the protagonist is supposed to do at that moment.
Yeah, that's a little unbelievable. Because it's just not in character.
Yeah, it's not even a case of being in character, it's a case of, where's the character? Who are you? Why are you here? What is your purpose, Itsuki? And you may be thinking at this point, okay, Jonin, what is the big deal about this? It's a self-insert character. This is actually very common, especially in video games, and I would formally agree that, except for two things. One, Itsuki has dialogue. Whilst admittedly you do get the option to choose dialogue trees, he is still a character with speech patterns and dialogue and has scripted responses most of the time. He is not a silent avatar, and even then, even if it wasn't the case like Persona 4 where it is a complete silent avatar, two things are established. One, that it is a story about that character, because the way that quest system pops up, he is actively getting involved and more often than not setting off the quests. Like, he's the one who decides to join drama club, he's the one who decides to spend a day with that friend, etc, etc, etc. Itsuki just kind of witnesses most events, and a lot of his side quests involve him essentially either being a scene partner or giving people a prod towards a direction they were already headed into anyway, which doesn't make him feel like an important protagonist. And on top of that, the reason I find it so frustrating is because when you actually look at it, it's not his story. It's Tsubasa's story. When you first start the game, you see an anime cutscene of Tsubasa watching an entire theatre audience as the actors that were performing a Fire Emblem opera, including her sister, being kidnapped by mirages. And, side note, Fire Emblem musical. Didn't know I wanted it until that moment. Anyway. But yeah, it's that flashback you see at the beginning. It's then Tsubasa who enters the idol contest that gets her sucked into the alternate dimension, or idol sphere as they're called. Yes, really.
Wow. That is an alternate dimension I would not want to be gated into.
Indeed, yes. And then, when they get the contracts, the first chapter of the game is Tsubasa going through the idol training whilst trying to find clues about her missing sister. The second act, whilst providing backstory for Maiko, it's also Tsubasa getting over her stage fright with the whole model thing. Chapter 3 is about Barry's backstory and making Mamori a Mirage user. And Chapter 4, which I've just started, is about Tsubasa learning acting because she's landed a TV role. You see where I'm going with this. Everything is centered around the main growth of the other party members, and Itsuki's just along for the ride. So you can kind of understand my frustration that we're supposed to believe constantly that Itsuki is such an amazing person who is a great source of inspiration to our protagonist, despite the fact that he's essentially hijacking the story of much better characters, and he's such a bloody personality vacuum who only ever does impressive things because he pulls it out of his arse and that's what's required of him. It's not even like he's trying to get into the showbiz industry, because he freely admits that before any of this happened, he never had any intention of getting involved in this, and a lot of the titles of his skills, like stage director, imply that he is serving as a directorial role, which, okay, I would actually be on board with the idea that he is supporting these artists from the sidelines and getting over their creative growth. A lot of people tend to forget that there are a lot of people behind the scenes who work really damn hard to make sure that the performers give it their best. But the actual explanation is that Maiko goes, okay, you don't know what you want, Itsuki, that's fine. We'll have you try a bit of everything. Which, in my personal opinion, is insane! Keeping in mind, they're still high school students. It's implying that they're still going to high school, and they're seriously saying that, okay, Mitsuki, we are going to try and enter you professionally in acting, modelling, singing, backup singing, extras, and work right on everything until you find what you want to do in life, which, fucking hell me.
God, I thought just going through a brutal history class in college at age 25 was bad.
Yeah.
Also, may I just say that I'm getting a hint of the Ichigo vibe from this guy? The story is basically everyone else's spotlight, and he's just the really overhyped scenery.
Yeah, that is basically what it is, and they also try to work in the anime trope of that he's so dense, like the only defining characteristic, which seemed sweet at the start of it, was at the very beginning of the game, when she's being entered in the idol contest, the host goes, well, Tsubasa, what is your motivation for becoming an idol? And she goes, there was an incident where my sister disappeared and people were continuously coming up to me offering their condolences, which was nice to them, but after a while it got tiring. But Itsuki then came up to me and talked to me like it was any other day, and that gave me a load of happiness, which I now want to give back to the people as a pop idol. And when I first read that, I thought, okay, that's actually kind of a sweet definition that Itsuki is a rock for Tsubasa. But after playing more of the game, I now read it as Itsuki was probably so dense he didn't realize he was supposed to talk any other way when someone had lost their f***ing family.
This is getting worse by the second.
Yeah, and the final capstone to it is that I want to like Itsuki, but more and more, it ends up being like that sequence from Spaceballs. Do something! Do something! Do something! What's even worse is that because that he does nothing, and anything he does, it feels unearned and pulled out of his ass. It made elements that seemed cool at the start feel really bad in hindsight, like his name, for example. Itsuki Ayoi. Ayoi means blue in Japanese, as in the generic colour of Fire Emblem hero units. At first I thought, oh, okay, cool, that's a nice touch. But now the more I think about it, the more I think, wow, that just sums you up. You don't have a last name, you have an affiliation. You have a unit colour.
He's not a person, he is the spotlight.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, I thought that Chrom got a raw deal being kind of overshadowed by Robin, but no. Even Chrom as a Mirage has a lot more character than Itsuki does, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah, that's actually saying a lot.
Oh, God. Like I said, I don't want to give people the impression that I hate this game. To be honest, to use a weird analogy, this game is much like a pet. They're adorable, they're full of energy, and I do really like them a lot, and it's actually pretty comforting to have them around. It's just that every once in a while they end up doing something really frustrating, and I really wish they wouldn't, because, you know, I've just woken up, I really don't want to have to clean up that mess first thing in the morning. I've got work today, and sorry, that metaphor kind of gone out of hand, but,
Still, I think I get the idea.
Yeah, it's, one of those things where I like the game, and I'm definitely glad to have played it. It was a fun way to spend the time, and I did grow to like most of these characters. Like, I continued playing because I wanted to see more of Toma, Tsubasa, and Kiria's journey. So if you're curious about it for that reason, or if you're a big anime fan and you've been able to enjoy the two of us kind of roasting the elements about it we don't like,
yeah, for an extended period of time.
Yeah, if you've been able to endure all of that and the game does sound appealing to you, then I would definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun in that sense. And if you're a casual fan of either series and you see it going cheap or you have the chance to rent it, I would definitely say give it a try, because if nothing else, it is enjoyable. Personally, though, I don't think I will ever buy the game myself. It will just be a standalone rental. And like I said, it's only a few days until I get a Nintendo Switch, so honestly, what is more likely to happen is I'll stop and then probably continue watching the rest for a Let's Play.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because I do like the story, I want to see how it ends. I don't know if I can play through any more dungeons or just tolerate Itsuki.
You know, I find it really funny that his name is actually very close to Ichigo.
Oh my god, it is now that I think about it.
We mentioned shonen problems before, and that has to be the biggest shonen problem of them all. But, I mean, at least you can, hesitantly recommend it.
Yeah, I think the best way I can put it out, if you ask me in the streets, hey, did you like Tokyo Mirage Sessions? My response would be, yeah, it's kind of fun.
And to be honest, that is a little disappointing for a Fire Emblem game.
Yeah, well, a sort of Fire Emblem crossover game, but if you're one of those Fire Emblem fans who think the series has gotten too much anime, be thankful for the fact that it hasn't crossed that threshold just yet.
Yeah, at least in the main series.
Yeah, and again, even with its goofs, some of them can be enjoyable even for unintentional reasons, like the English. There is so much English.
Oh god.
With Tiki unlocking skills by yelling, Ikio! Radianto! Unity!
Oh god.
Which is fun, but also, I'll top this off with something positive. My favourite bit of unintentional comedy comes from a rather bizarre bit of English, because the character Barry Goodman, aside from being a heavy metal guitarist, the joke is also that he's a foreign anime fan. So there's often moments when he has freaks out or compares everything to anime. But because he's foreign, that also means there's a lot of English. And just to get the impact of this across, I'm going to give these sound effects a rest of the moment. Because there's one bit of comedy that admittedly fell kind of flat, which is saying, yes, Tsubasa, your singing is coming along perfectly. If I was to grade it in Direwitch terms, I would say you're around episode 7. And Itsuki just goes, we have no idea what that means. And then, in English, Barry's reaction is just, shit!
Huh. So, for the first time, Fire Emblem actually stepped within the same area code as profanity.
Basically, yeah. I'm assuming it was unintentional, because obviously Japanese fans probably wouldn't get it. American fans, yeah, we totally get it.
Yeah, he just kind of dropped that dookie right on us.
Yeah. So yeah, warts and all, I at least had fun with this game, and if nothing else, I'd say we definitely got a good discussion out of it, because it did allow me to, I guess you could say, it was almost like a tolerance test of, okay, yeah, transforming people, I can get behind that, that is awesome. Okay, lolicons, no, back away.
Yep, we're approaching Gelburu territory here. By the way, anyone out there who does not know what Gelburu is, don't look it up.
Oh, God. And that closes off this review, but before we close off the podcast, it's time for us to enter our final section, which is
Quickfire Reviews!
This is the section where we talk about everything else we've read, watched, or played, but within the maximum time limit of 60 seconds.
I'll just give really quick lip service to an FPS game that I've been playing.
Chivalry Medieval Warfare. Possibly the only first-person shooter game out there involving the liberal application of swords to faces. I've taken to alternatively calling this game, How Many Different Ways Can Sven Get Himself Decapitated?
I recommend it, though.
Well, that's something at least. I mean, I'm guessing there's brutal difficulty there then.
Oh god, it's so much harder to get used to than your average first-person shooter game, because you actually have to time...
Oh.
It's like if you crossed a first-person shooter with a fighting game.
Ew.
And I suck at fighting games and at first-person shooters, so you can see my problem.
Yeah, I can fully understand that. In my case, I've got a couple of things to review.
The Lego Batman movie. Now, that premise makes it sound a bit goofy, and admittedly it is mostly a comedy ride that frankly doesn't take itself too seriously, which honestly Batman could do with right now, given that every other Batman film's trying to outdo itself in terms of the grim, gritty seriousness. But it is actually a very charming film with loads of good jokes, and it kind of explores the idea of Batman having to develop a Bat family to get over his loneliness, and yeah, honestly, it's a really nice film that is both a love letter to Batman, but at the same time a deconstruction / parody of Batman as a concept and as a character, and the somewhat ridiculous elements of it as well.
Ah, well, that makes a welcome change of pace in the wake of Zack Snyder.
Yep. And actually, no, wait, I've just thought of another one, so 2 more to go.
The Assassin, a odd film martial arts movie that I really wanted to like, but my god, the pacing. Just the pacing. I mean, I know that sometimes it can be a really amazing cinematic technique to focus on one shot for an extended period of time to get a reaction out of the audience. I mean, Martin Scorsese really pioneered that trick, but it doesn't work if you do it on every single shot. Like, I don't need a minute to establish that there's a woman in a bathtub, or that noble women play with their kids, okay? Okay, can we please move in a little bit further? I mean, when I watch a movie for an hour and realize that I don't care about any of these characters or what's going on, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, I would argue the same thing.
Yeah. And finally, just a quick one.
11/22/63. I've not finished the whole series yet. I've got as far as episode 4, but I'm planning to finish the whole thing, and I'm mainly placing it here just to say that I agree wholeheartedly with the review Sven gave a year or 2 ago. So, yeah, if you haven't checked out that series, please do.
And now they're making a Hulu mini-series of the Mr. Mercedes trilogy by Stephen King, and I am so hyped!
Oh dear. But yeah, that is the end of this podcast, and I've Gotta be honest, part of me feels knackered, but this has been a very enjoyable show. Especially in part due to the audience questions, which, yeah, please continue to send in the questions, guys. You're awesome, and you continue to make what is already a fun show a really exhilarating ride, to be honest. But yeah, it's time for us to part ways for this month, so until next time, I've been the Jonin Monkey.
And I've been Sven the Crusader. Beware the Bunny Knight.
Monkey Broadcast, a monthly review and discussion show hosted by the Jonin Monkey and Sven the Crusader. If you feel you've been the subject of slander or that your copyright was misused, send an email to thejoninmonkey@yahoo.co.uk. For more news and media reviews, follow me on Twitter @thejoninmonkey and go to thejoninmonkey.podbean.com for previous podcasts and MP3 downloads. All music used belongs to the original owners. Until next month, have fun, kids!